Isabel, Prime Minister Suga pledging last night to improve the situation in a month. How likely is that looking?
Well, it's hard to say, obviously, yet. But one thing to note is that the emergency declaration in April and May last year worked pretty well in terms of controlling the infection, albeit at the cost of triggering the worst economic downturn on record. But there are a couple of important differences this time. First of all, the situation is far worse in terms of the number of infections than at any stage in the pandemic so far. We saw nearly 2,500 cases just yesterday in Tokyo. And at the same time, this is a markedly less stringent emergency regime than we saw last time. Basically, local governments will urge people to avoid going out unnecessarily, but only after 8 p.m., and bars and restaurants will be instructed to close at that time, and they'll be encouraging remote working. So given that none of these rules are enforceable under the current law, several experts have expressed doubts about whether it will be enough to rein in the number of new cases and get them onto a downward trend. So in the end, that could mean the emergency has to be extended beyond a month, and several other regions are considering asking to be added to it, which will mean the effect on the economy in the end is a lot more severe, and Japan could go into a contraction in the first quarter of this year.
It is a risky strategy to take. What does it mean for Suga as a leader if he fails to bring this under control?
Right. Well, as you know, Suga was installed as premier in September by the ruling party, basically just to take over the final year of Shinzo Abe's term in office after he suddenly stepped down due to illness. So the question has always been hanging over him as to whether he will be a one-year premier or make enough of a success of it to hold on for several years. So as a leader, he's always been seen as this kind of pragmatic person who puts the economy first. So if he does make a big miscalculation by avoiding a full nationwide emergency, that could further damage his already falling public support, and the party might well be tempted to look for another leader to take them into the next election, which has to be held by October this year.
Is there a viable opposition party in Japan right now?
At this point, no, the opposition is still in complete disarray. It's been divided for several years now. It's splintered into several different factions, and it's failed, despite the fall in support for Suga and the LDP, it's really failed to get its support out of, I think, still single figures at this point. So, no, at this point, we're not really looking to see a change of government completely, but it could be that that we see a different leader, and we could possibly go back into the situation we saw for many years in Japan, where there was literally a new prime minister every single year.